Have you ever packed your own suitcase, believing you were finally going home with your family, only to discover there was never a place for you? I never imagined those words would come from my own son. Mom, there's no room for you in the new house. That single sentence shattered 40 years of sacrifice. My name is Margaret. I'm 68 years old, and this is the day my own child left me behind. When my husband Daniel passed away, Ethan was only 12. Life became a daily battle. I worked mornings at a bakery, cleaned offices at night, skipped meals so Ethan could play baseball. Every birthday, every Christmas, every college payment came from overtime shifts and sleepless nights. People often asked why I never remarried. I always smiled. Because my son is my future. And I truly believe that. Years passed. Ethan graduated, found a good engineering job, married a sweet woman named Chloe. At least, that's what I believed. They visited every Sunday, called me every evening. They constantly said, "Mom, one day we'll all live together." Those words became my greatest comfort. Then one evening Ethan burst through my front door with excitement. "Mom, we bought our dream house." I cried tears of happiness. He hugged me tightly. "You'll love it." For weeks we planned the move together. I packed every box carefully, wrapped Chloe's dishes, labeled every carton, folded baby clothes for the grandchild they were expecting. I couldn't stop smiling. Finally, after years of loneliness, our family would live under one roof again. Moving day finally arrived. I woke up before sunrise, made everyone's favorite breakfast: blueberry pancakes, scrambled eggs, fresh coffee. The house was filled with moving boxes. Professional movers carried furniture outside while I carefully packed the last few family photo albums. Every time I taped another box, I smiled. "This is our new beginning," I whispered. Chloe walked around checking each room. Ethan supervised the movers. By noon, almost everything was loaded into the moving truck. Only one small suitcase remained. Mine. I rolled it toward the front door. Just then Ethan looked at me strangely. "Mom." His voice sounded different. "We need to talk." My heart skipped a beat. "Sure, honey." He rubbed the back of his neck. Chloe refused to look me in the eyes. Silence filled the room. Finally, Ethan took a deep breath. "Mom, your suitcase should stay here." I laughed. "What do you mean? There's still plenty of space in the truck." His face became cold. "No. I mean, you're staying here." I froze. "I don't understand." He sighed impatiently. "The new house isn't big enough." I looked outside. It was a 4-bedroom house. I'd seen the pictures. There was even a guest room. "But," I whispered, "you promised we'd live together." He crossed his arms. "Plans change." Those 2 words cut deeper than any knife. I turned toward Chloe. She stayed silent. Not one word. Not one apology. I felt my knees shaking. "Ethan, where am I supposed to go?" He looked at his watch instead of looking at me. "You'll be fine here for a while." "A while. I'll send money if you need it." Money? Was that what 40 years of motherhood had become? A monthly payment? Tears filled my eyes. "I never asked for your money. I only wanted my family." Without another word, the movers closed the truck. The engine started. I stood on the porch holding my old suitcase, watching my son's new life drive away. Without me, that afternoon, for the first time in my life, the house felt completely empty. But I had no idea that 8 months later, my son would stand at this same front door, begging for a second chance. The first week was the hardest. Every morning, I woke up expecting to hear Ethan's voice. Instead, there was only silence. I walked through the empty house, touching the walls that still held memories of my husband's laughter. Some nights, I cried until sunrise. But after a month, something inside me changed. I looked at myself in the mirror and said, "Margaret, you've survived worse than this." I raised a child alone. I buried my husband. I worked 2 jobs. I'm not going to let rejection be the end of my story. The very next morning, I called a real estate agent. He looked surprised. "You want to sell this house?" "Yes. It's too big for one person." 3 weeks later, The house sold for much more than I expected. Instead of buying another large home, I purchased a small, beautiful cottage near a quiet lake. It had a white porch, a little flower garden, and a rocking chair overlooking the water. For the first time in years, the house felt like it truly belonged to me. Then I did something Ethan never expected. I invested part of the money. A financial advisor helped me build a safe retirement portfolio. The monthly income was more than enough. No debt, no stress, no depending on anyone. Soon I began volunteering at the local community center. I helped children with reading. I baked cookies for veterans. I made friends who became like family. Every Friday night, we laughed over homemade dinners. Slowly, the emptiness disappeared. One afternoon, my neighbor Carol smiled and said, "You know, Margaret, I've never seen someone rebuild her life with so much grace." I smiled back. The people who leave you sometimes make room for the people who truly value you. For the first time since Ethan drove away, I meant those words. Meanwhile, I hadn't heard from my son in months. No phone calls, no birthday card, no Thanksgiving invitation, no Christmas visit. Nothing. I stopped waiting. Life finally felt peaceful. Then, 8 months after he abandoned me, someone knocked on my front door. 3 slow knocks. I opened it. Standing there, his clothes were wrinkled. His eyes were red. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. It was Ethan. And for the first time in his life, he looked completely broken. "Mom," his voice cracked. "Please, I need your help." Ethan stood on my porch, looking nothing like the confident man who had driven away 8 months earlier. His expensive jacket was gone. His beard had grown in. Dark circles surrounded his eyes. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, he whispered, "Mom, can I come in?" I stepped aside without saying a word. He walked into my little cottage and looked around. The cozy fireplace, fresh flowers on the table, pictures of my new friends from the community center. He looked surprised. "I didn't know you moved." I calmly poured 2 cups of coffee. "You didn't ask." He lowered his head. The silence between us felt heavier than words. After a few minutes, he finally spoke. "Chloe left." I remained quiet. "We've been separated for 3 months. He rubbed his face with both hands. "I lost my job after the company downsized. The mortgage payments piled up. We couldn't keep the house. It was foreclosed." Every sentence sounded like another piece of his life falling apart. Then he looked at me with tears in his eyes. "Mom, I have nowhere to go. I was hoping." His voice cracked. "I could stay with you." Those words hung in the air. I couldn't help remembering another sentence. "Mom, there's no room for you in the new house." The memory still hurt. Ethan noticed the expression on my face. "I know what I said. I think about it every single day. I was selfish. I let money, pride, and other people's opinions change me. I don't expect forgiveness. I just..." He wiped away a tear. "I'm out of options." For a long time, I simply looked at him. This was the little boy I had once carried when he had a fever. The child I had worked 2 jobs to feed. The son who had broken my heart. Part of me wanted to tell him to leave. To let him feel exactly what I had felt. But another part of me remembered something my late husband used to say. Kindness doesn't erase the past, but revenge doesn't heal it either. I took a slow breath. Then I stood, walked to the hallway, opened the small guest room. There was a neatly made bed, a lamp, a folded blanket. I looked back at Ethan. "You can stay." Relief flooded his face. Before he could speak, I gently raised my hand. "But this isn't your house. It's mine. And if you're going to live here, you'll treat me with the respect you should have shown me from the beginning." Tears rolled down his cheeks. He nodded. "Yes, Mom. I'm sorry." For the first time in many years, those words sounded real. But rebuilding trust would take much longer than saying I'm sorry. The first few weeks were awkward. Ethan insisted on paying rent. I refused. Instead, I handed him a list. He looked confused. "What's this?" I smiled. "A few house rules." He laughed nervously. "I deserve that." The list was simple. help with groceries, cook dinner twice a week, keep the house clean. And one final rule: always make time for family. He read those words twice, then quietly folded the paper and slipped it into his pocket. I won't forget. Weeks turned into months. Ethan found a new job. It didn't pay as much as the old one, but he worked harder than ever. Every evening we ate dinner together. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we simply enjoyed the silence. One Saturday afternoon, he surprised me. He had planted roses all around my little cottage. Remember how Dad loved roses? I smiled through tears. I remember. I wanted you to have something beautiful every spring. For the first time in years, I saw my son again. Not the man blinded by success, but the kind-hearted boy I had raised. One evening, he placed an envelope on the kitchen table. Inside was a check. It was for every dollar I had ever spent helping him through college. I pushed it back. No, you don't owe me anything. He shook his head. It's not payment. It's gratitude. You gave me everything. And I almost threw away the most important person in my life. I hugged him tightly. Money could never replace love, but sincere repentance could begin to heal a broken heart. A year later, Ethan bought another home. It wasn't huge. It wasn't luxurious. But before signing the final paperwork, he drove me there. He opened the front door with a smile. Then he handed me the very first key. I looked at him confused. He smiled. This house isn't complete without you. I couldn't speak. He walked me down the hallway. There are 3 bedrooms. He opened the largest guest room. Sunlight poured through the windows. Fresh flowers sat on the dresser. On the wall was a framed wooden sign. It read, "Mom's room, always reserved." Tears filled my eyes. He looked at me and said softly, "I'll never let you wonder if there's room for you again." I hugged him tighter than I ever had. Because forgiveness doesn't erase painful memories, but it gives love the chance to write a better ending. If your parents are still with you, call them. Visit them. Make room for them, not just in your home, but in your heart. Because one day, the chair they used to sit in may be empty forever. And by then, no apology will bring them back.